trophy has a red and gold reflection.
These guys are hungry for more. They want to build a dynasty here.
Believe in each other. Fly around. Let's find a way to win.
And he's going to be hit. Chris Jones got him in a bear hug. Pacheco blasts into the end zone at the 10-5. Length to the end zone. Touchdown.
The Chiefs dropped a tough one last week, but despite that result, everything is still right there for Kansas City. They can win the division with the victory here today. It's just a matter of taking care of business. And who better to do that against than an old foe in the Cincinnati Bengals? We are 2 hours from kickoff. You've waited all week for this very moment. It's finally here. It is time for football in Chiefs Kingdom. Let's do this. My name is Matt McMullen, joined by voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. This is Field Pass, presented by StorageMart. And Mitch, with an 8th consecutive division title, just one win away. Let's try this again.
Do-over. It's called a mulligan in golf. You don't always get that, but the Chiefs have that today. And got to get fired up for this game. We'll talk about it. It starts with the offensive line, in my opinion, and it's these guys, right? These guys.
It's got to be these guys.
The last 2 AFC championship games, as you mentioned. So time to get this done.
Well, and part of that is getting back on track offensively, right? And how do you do that? Well, you diagnose what went wrong last week, and it's really twofold, I think. The first thing is obvious. It's the 2 defensive touchdowns for the Raiders and our own shot over on goalposts, right, in the span of 7 game seconds. You can't do that. Can't turn the ball over in your own territory and that close to your own goal line. But the other problem was the number of 3rd and 4th downs that we found ourselves in, particularly 3rd and long. So the Chiefs were in 16 third down situations last week, and they needed 7 yards on average to convert those. They also went for it on 4th down 5 times. So that's 21 do or die situations, a season high for the Chiefs last week. And this is actually the number 5 third down offense in the NFL. They've been good on 3rd down this season, but you can't sustain drives if you're constantly in 3rd and long. The Chiefs have to find a way to get yardage on 1st and 2nd down here today.
And those stats are all cause and effect. So the effect, that's the effect. The cause was, let's be honest, the Chiefs got worked in the trenches on the offensive line. The Raiders came out in the game last week with their hair on fire. And it started with the first second of the game, and it went all the way through the game. That led to the 14 points counted for here, right behind us over our shoulder with those 2 defensive scores. That's why I'm saying the offensive line has been the focus, the thesis point for the 2 of us all week long. I think it's ironic that Ed Buddy's funeral was this week, one of the best offensive linemen ever in pro football. But those guys have got to carry the day. That's where it starts, and hopefully that's where it finishes with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, and for our offensive line, who's the number 1 guy? You got to make sure you know where he is at all times. It's Trey Hendrickson, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. His 16 sacks this season ranks 2nd among all players, trailing only TJ Watt. He also has at least a half sack in 7 straight games.
And it's not just the sacks. These are big sacks. Because look at not only sacks, look at the yardage that occur negatively for the other team from those sacks. And only Khalil Mack has more sack yardage than Trey Hendrickson. I think, Matt, and we said this on the podcast on Kingdom Conversations this week, I think he's the most underrated edge defender in the entire National Football League. And keep in mind, in these games against these guys, regular season and the AFC Championship games, they have sacked Patrick Mahomes 11 times in 5 games, the Bengals.
And it really all begins with him. He is the guy. Yeah. There are some good pass rushers on this Bengals squad, but when you look at the numbers, Hendrickson has 72 pressures this season. The next closest Bengal is 35 pressures behind him, as Sam Hubbard and B.J. Hill are tied. So you got to make sure you slow him down, keep him off balance. The good news for the Chiefs, though, is if they can stay on schedule, make sure Hendrickson doesn't wreck the game, this Bengals defense has allowed a lot of explosive plays this year. So they've allowed 212 plays of 10 or more yards this season, most in the NFL, and 73 plays of 20 or more yards, most in the NFL. Again, if the Chiefs can stay on schedule, there could be some opportunities for some big plays here today offensively.
Bengals get Cam Taylor-Britt back today. That's big for them. The second-year corner out of Nebraska, 4 interceptions, 3rd in the league, 2nd in the ASC. But they're missing, remember those safeties we played, the Jesse Bates?
Jesse Bates, yep.
And those guys are gone. So, again, the salary cap, you can't keep everybody. There are opportunities, and just a click or a half click. But you got to run your route, you got to catch the ball, pass got to be on time, as you mentioned, and throw it to them. If you can block it up front, there will be opportunities to get some chunk plays today on offense, either in the run game or pass game or even the screen game.
Yeah, this Chiefs offense is looking to get back on track here today. For the Chiefs defense, just do exactly what you did last week. They were outstanding. And for more on this defense and what to expect here today, I caught up with Tracy Wolfson from CBS Sports earlier this week. All right, we're joined now by Tracy Wolfson from CBS Sports. She'll be on the sideline for today's game. And Tracy, I want to ask you about this Chiefs defense, which has just been outstanding this year, one of the best defenses in the NFL. Even last week, in a loss, they held the Raiders to net 48 passing yards. Just unbelievable. Kind of gets glossed over because we lost, but still really impressive. Why do you think the Chiefs defense has been so good this year?
Well, I mean, it starts, of course, with Steve Spagnuolo and just the job that he's been able to do. And I think you can go back to last year, too, where they decided they needed to make a change and get really a little younger, more athletic and faster. And that speed is really showing up all over the field. And then they have another year together. So they've been able to have that offseason and play together. And they're relatively healthy on that side of the ball, which has been huge. And you know, it starts up front. I always believe at that line of scrimmage, and it starts with a leader in Chris Jones, one of my favorite players to be alongside, to have meetings with. And he is the leader of that defense, and his energy spreads throughout. And then you're seeing it with the other guys, whether it's Karlaftis or whether it's Mike Dana. And then you go to the second level. That's the thing. They have leaders at every level. You have Nick Bolton, who is now back and healthy as well, which is huge for this team. But other guys have stepped up in his place, which was a really big deal. And then you go to the cornerback, D-back position, and you have L'Jarius Sneed playing certainly at a Pro Bowl level. You know, every level of this defense is top notch. And I think that's why they're having such success this year.
Yeah, they've just been so good all season and consistently good. I believe it's the number 2 scoring defense in the NFL, and we only have 2 games left in the regular season. So they've been remarkable.
I'd like to see them get more turnovers, force more turnovers, though. I think that's the one thing we're kind of missing from this defense that I think they're probably really focusing on going into the stretch, into the playoff run, because that's going to be important to get the ball back for their offense.
I think you're totally right. And Steve Spagnuolo talked about that a few days ago. There's a certain level of random variance to that, like the ball just needs to bounce your way, but hopefully it bounces the Chiefs' way a few times here in this game. And the other part of this question, I want to ask you about this Bengals offense, because they lose Joe Burrow in Week 11. It seems like their season might be over, but Jake Browning's been great for them. I mean, since Week 12, he leads the NFL in passing yards. What are some keys for the Chiefs' defense here in this one to slow down this Bengals offense?
Yeah, let me start. I haven't really had a chance to see Jake Browning in person. Obviously, this is going to be our first time. Last time we had the Bengals, Joe Burrow was playing lights out, and you said this was no doubt a Super Bowl team if they continue to stay healthy, which unfortunately he did go down. But, you know, talking to Spags and talking to, you know, a bunch of the Chiefs players and coaches, is they look at Jake Browning and they see a little bit of Joe Burrow in him, which, I mean, it's when you watch it, it is true. And he's taking care of the football, except for last week, of course. And that's what he, needs to continue to do. But he's getting the ball out quickly. He has accuracy. He's seeing the field. The key is going to be protecting him. And that's really when you force a young quarterback into, rushing and making quick decisions, certainly that's what's going to happen, is they're going to turn the ball over. So defensively for the Chiefs, they have to bring pressure, a lot of pressure. They got to win the line of scrimmage. It starts with Chris Jones, as we talked about. It starts with those guys up front. And we love Spags because we know that he's going to bring that pressure. He absolutely loves it. However he's going to do it, zero blitz or not, he's going to, force Jake Browning into making some really quick decisions and figuring out where to get that ball out quick. And then on the flip side, you're going to have, the DBs back there just waiting, to make some noise. So I think that's where it starts, at the line of scrimmage. And I'm sure they saw something last week from Jake Browning turning the football over like that. And I think they're probably licking their chops a little bit. But, the key is just, forcing him into some bad habits and seeing how he can react to that, not having so much experience. And then he'll be on the road. I mean, he's been there before. But, that environment is going to be, he hasn't been there on the field, and that environment is going to be key. And they just have to keep that energy level. They got to I believe, get off to a fast start, put them behind the 8 ball. That's going to be huge. And of course, you need to play complementary football, and the offense needs to step up as well.
Yeah, well, I think you're totally right about how the defensive line, I think, would win this game for the Chiefs. Because if you look back at the AFC title game last year, of course it was Joe Burrow, not Jake Browning, but still, that was the key. The defensive line won the AFC title game for the Chiefs last year, and hopefully we'll see a similar effort here in this one, getting some pressure on Jake Browning. I also did some math, Tracy. This will be your 5th game on the sidelines for CBS covering the Chiefs this year. That's like 30% of your games. You're 2-2. In the games that you've covered for us in terms of Chiefs victories and losses. I know you're unbiased, but
you can't blame me.
I can't blame you, but let's make it 3-2 this weekend. Tracy,
all
awesome
right,
stuff.
that's fine. I really do. I should really invest in a house there. I don't know, an apartment, something. I'm there so often.
If you're covering our games, it means that we're playing well and that people want to watch us. So it's a good thing. Hopefully this is not your last game covering us this year. Hopefully a few more here in the playoffs. Awesome stuff as always, Tracy. Thank you so much.
Appreciate the time. Good luck.
All right, great stuff there from Tracy Wolfson. We're now joined by a very special guest. It's Kevin Richardson from the Backstreet Boys is joining us on Field Pass here today. Kevin, what's going on?
Glad to be here. What a treat. What a treat.
It is so awesome to have you here. But full disclosure, Kevin, did you become a Chiefs fan before or after you met your wife who grew up in the Chiefs Kingdom? How did this happen that
So
the Backstreet Boy became a Chiefs fan?
Yes, sir. Growing up in Kentucky, we did not have a pro team. So I just rooted for my favorite players. And one of those players, 2 of those players, Joe Montana and Marcus Allen, just happened to join the Chiefs right around the time my wife and I started dating. And she's from Overland Park. And we were both working at Walt Disney World in 1992. And I've been a Chiefs fan ever since. So
That's so cool.
Favorite quarterback, Joe Montana. Favorite running back, one of my favorite was Marcus Allen. Yeah. So that's when I joined Chiefs Kingdom officially.
So it's been 30 years now. I have a tough question for you. You think about Joe Montana, Marcus Allen. Who's your favorite Chief of all time? Is it one of those guys or somebody else? Put you on the spot.
D. Thomas.
Okay.
I think everybody has a special place in their heart for him.
Yeah.
I loved watching Dante Hall return punts, Priest Holmes, Tony Gonzalez, Christian Okoye, Nigerian Nightmare.
It's a good list. Yeah.
Kevin, I love the mist in your eye. I hope you guys can see this, the mist in your eye as you're scanning your brain doing it. It's like watching one of your music videos. But I want to ask you this. So it's Estill, Kentucky? Estill, Kentucky. Home of the
County,
Engineers.
Kentucky.
You were a high school football player for the Engineers. Tell us about your football career, and who would it be most like on the Chiefs team?
It would probably be most like Nick Bolton. I was a middle linebacker.
Yeah.
Ooh. And my number was 32.
Oh, this is perfect.
I was middle linebacker and fullback, and I did all the kicking. I punted, kicked field goals, and kicked off. We had a very small town. We had 2 stoplights in our town, so we didn't have a large pool of talent. So that's not saying I was a great talent, but our talent was limited, so I did a lot. I played both ways. Yeah. I love football. I love the game. I coach football back home. I got to coach my son this year, so I love what the game teaches you about sacrifice, discipline, teamwork. Selflessness.
That is so cool.
Yeah. I love this game.
That. Awesome.
When we talked about the energy required to win this game, perfect guy, right, to have here?
Oh, no. Your music and the Backstreet Boys, if I had to give it a word, it would be energy. Like there's this energy from you guys, and it's been that way, and it's stood the test of time. That's the great thing about your music. But what about being here today, and you're being a part of this energy today? What it means to you to be a part of this, and then the energy of this place that's unique?
The fact that my wife grew up coming to games here with her father in the 1970s, and I get to bring my wife, my 2 sons are on the field today, and I get to honor Chiefs Kingdom by banging the drum and leading the chop today. It's like full circle. It's an honor, it's a privilege, and I'm going to bring the energy. I'm going to bang that drum. Bring the hell out of it.
That's perfect. Last question, then we'll let you go. I'm going to ask you about that because you have performed in front of like millions of people during your career. You've done a Super Bowl halftime show. Have you ever done anything quite like this, though, banging a drum in front of 76,000 people?
I have not. We got to sing the national anthem at a lot of pro football games and college football games and high school basketball games when we were just starting out, but I've never, this is going to be an amazing experience. I hope I don't pull a muscle. I gotta do some stretches and warm up and get ready so I don't hurt my back.
Have you practiced?
I have gone through a couple things in my head.
Okay. Mental preparation, that's
Yes.
good.
Yeah, but I wanna honor the kingdom today. Yeah.
I'm guessing he'll have the beat.
Oh,
you know,
I think
usually
you'll be okay there.
you want to get on the beat.
Oh yeah.
Not a problem with
No,
Kevin today.
I'll watch when they do it. I'm like, it's like the crowd is off with the drum, so I'm gonna try to get everybody in line today and get them in rhythm.
Yeah, well, you'll do a great job.
Oh,
We'll
cool.
let you go, Kevin.
But I just want to
thank you.
say it's a pleasure watching both of you.
Wow.
It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I love what you do. I appreciate what you do. Thank you for all you do for Chiefs Kingdom.
Well, likewise,
Appreciate
Kevin.
you.
Thank you,
Have a
man.
great
Have
day.
fun
Let's
today.
go, Chiefs.
Yeah, let's get a win,
go,
right?
Chiefs.
Let's get the dub.
I'm just going to see you now as number 32 for the Engineers.
I love
here
it.
we
That's
go.
all I'm going to.
Here we go.
There it is. I love it. That's awesome. I love
Engineer football, baby.
it. Well, have fun, Kevin. Thanks for
Thank you.
joining us.
Appreciate you guys.
Enjoy your time today.
Okay. That's cool, man.
All right.
Thank
well,
you, gentlemen.
You got it,
Appreciate
brother.
y'all.
Yes, sir.
Happy
Yes, sir.
New Year.
God bless
Happy
you.
New Year.
Yep.
That was cool, huh?
Well, you know what's awesome is to see we get entertainers in here, we get great athletes, we get former players, but this means so much to him. His eyes were moistening. I know it's cold, but he's talking about his past. He said it's full circle for him. The fact that here is like the lead singer of the Backstreet Boys, right? He's kind of the big brother of the Backstreet Boys. And think about all their hits, and really for a span of over 2 decades, they've just this presence that they've got, and yet this is one of the biggest things of his life.
Yeah, it's cool.
Just being here.
It's
He's
super
so
cool.
fired up. It's just neat to see it.
You ever see the movie This Is the End?
Yes.
I love the ending of that movie because the Backstreet Boys are like in heaven, like singing. It's amazing. That was super cool. All right, we'll have the inactives here in a moment. Quickly, though, I want to ask you about this Bengals offense. It seemed like when Joe Burrow went down in Week 11, their season was going to be over, right? But far from it. Jake Browning has been great for them at quarterback. He actually leads the NFL in passing yards since Week 12. He's been terrific. Your thoughts on Jake Browning?
Well, when you look at his completion percentage in his first 4 games, well, let me just give you this first. A guy that entered the league as an undrafted free agent in 2019, 23 transactions with 2 teams in that time frame. Cut, release, brought back, practice squad, elevated, sent down, cut. It's an amazing 4-year journey, and now he gets the starting job. And the fact that he's 3-2 as a starter, 3 straight wins, but his completion percentage in his first 4 games were second best of any quarterback in NFL history since 1950. That gets your attention. He's good enough to win this game. And he's done an awesome job of incorporating all of the weapons they have on this team, much like Burrow does.
Well, you know what's interesting, though, is he has all these passing yards, but he has one of the lowest average depth of targets of any quarterback in the NFL. That helps that completion percentage, right? Because his average depth of target since Week 12 is just 6.2 yards. He has 41 passing attempts that targeted a receiver behind the line of scrimmage since Week 12, second most of any quarterback. But here's the thing. His receivers have racked up nearly 400 yards after the catch on those throws. And specifically, Joe Mixon has 11 receptions behind the line of scrimmage since Week 12 and gotten 133 yards after the catch on those receptions. Same thing for rookie running back Chase Brown. He has 7 catches behind the line of scrimmage since Week 12 for 131 yards after the catch and a touchdown. So I think one of the keys to slowing down this Bengals offense and Jake Browning, got to slow down their screen game.
Yeah. Joe Mixon, first of all, it's interesting, and you mentioned that, but when you look at the stat, no one throws it more than Cincinnati, especially in the first half. Washington. That's it. Cincinnati throws it all the time, but they use the throwing game as the running game. Joe Mixon has 1,200 all-purpose yards. You mentioned yards after catch. The Chiefs are first in the league. These guys are second. And on a cold day of 30-some degrees, tackling will be a premium. I know that we want to look at analytics, but when you spew out those stats and you look at what the Chiefs have done in yards after catch, it puts a premium on tackling. And Joe Mixon is a guy that can run it and catch it. Mostly he's been catching it with Jake Browning. And then running, he's got nearly 900 yards running. He's the only back in the league with that many yards that hasn't. Butler County Grizzly in El Dorado, Kansas, a Nebraska quarterback, is using the short passing game as their run game and keeping things safe and within a certain realm for Jake Browning.
The Chiefs have allowed the second fewest yards after the catch of any team in the NFL this year. Got to do that again here today. I have the inactives. There's some good news for the Chiefs I'll get to here in a moment. Quickly, though, it's discount promo code time. So the promo code this week is first down discount. All right, first down discount. If you say that at checkout at the Pro Shop at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, you're going to get 10% off your order. Now, as always, there are some rules around this. The offer is not valid on game day or the day before. It cannot be stacked with other discounts. It's in-store only. Unfortunately, does not work online. Just the Pro Shop here at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. And it excludes memorabilia, Oakleys, Ray-Bans, and sale items. But all the stuff you see us wearing on our shows, including these heavy coats we're wearing here today, is fair game. So one more time, first down discount will get you 10% off your purchase. Hopefully some first downs here today, right?
I thought it'd be a Backstreet Boys song.
Probably should have been. That was a missed opportunity.
I like it. That's okay.
A missed opportunity.
It's all good. But let's get to these inactives because it's big for both teams.
Yep, so some good news for the Chiefs. L'Jarius Sneed is active today.
Wow.
So
and he did not practice really all week.
Did not practice all week with that calf injury. He was questionable coming in. I was watching him do his warm-up earlier, and I was like, I think he looks pretty good. So L'Jarius Sneed going to play here today. That's great news. Kadarius Toney not going to play with that hip injury. Already knew about that, missing the second straight game. Offensive tackle Donovan Smith not going to play with the neck injury, missing his fourth straight game. Means Wanye Morris will be up at left tackle once again. Isaiah Pacheco active today. He has cleared the concussion protocol. That's great news. We will not have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde was questionable coming in with a illness. Clyde is inactive here today. And then McCole Hardman with a thumb injury, activated from injured reserve yesterday. McCole Hardman is going to play here today. So,
let's jump in there real quick. You're going to see, and listen, we'll talk about him, number 29, LaMichael Pirine. He has been up ever since McKinnon went down, and he's been in and out. But you'll also see number 30 today, Keontae Ingram. The Chiefs, he was caught in late November by Arizona. The Chiefs were able to pick him up and put him on the practice squad. Those are both bigger backs. So you have Pop, you've got Pacheco and Pirine, all bigger backs that hopefully will help today. But that's who number 30 is if you're watching it.
And great having Pacheco back.
Yes, sir.
Weren't sure if we'd get him back. We got Pacheco back. That's great news. And L'Jarius Sneed back. Excellent news because he will be facing Jamar Chase in this game because Jamar Chase is active for the Bengals. Chase separated his shoulder 2 weeks ago, missed last week's game. He is questionable coming in, was limited in practice all week for the Bengals, but Jamar Chase is going to play. We'll see how effective he can be with that shoulder injury. And then you mentioned corner Cam Taylor-Britt earlier. He was activated off injured reserve a few days ago. He's only played 10 games this season. He hasn't played since week 11. Still leads them with 4 interceptions, though. Good player.
They're really only missing Burrow. And here again is part of the dynamic the Chiefs have faced for 5 consecutive weeks where the opposing team has had extra days, not just to prepare, but rest. If this was a normal week-to-week, 7 days, I'm not sure Jamar Chase would play in this game. He's also been limited in practice, and that's an AC joint sprain in his shoulder. But those 2 extra days, and you know he wasn't going to miss this game. These two teams, man, there's so many memories of these last 2 AFC championship games here that he was going to be out here come heck or high water.
Well, and there's a lot on the line for both teams. For the Chiefs, an opportunity to win the division here today. The Bengals are fighting for their playoff lives. What an opportunity, though. And last week was a bummer, not what we anticipated or wanted, but a great opportunity for the Chiefs here today. Just a matter of taking care of business and seizing it. For Mitch Holthus, I'm Matt McMullen. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Let's go get a victory.